Bears Nation, we have arrived at our moment of the destiny, D-Day, the biggest Bears draft of the 21st century. All the hype, all the rumors, all the speculation, it's all brought us here. We are coming to you live from a Rockin' Bridges scoreboard in Griffith, Indiana, as Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse, the voice of the Chicago sports fan, brings you an epic pre-draft show. I'm your man, Brandon Trax Hyatt, along with Brandon and Dustin, with former Bears star tight end James Robocop Thornton, getting you set for a draft like no other. Everybody, please welcome to Bridges Scoreboard, your Northwest Indiana sports headquarters, former Bears star tight end James Robocop Thornton. James, how you doing tonight?
Good. Your font's a little small.
Yeah.
Squinting it.
Yeah.
Age.
So, although you look like you could still line up today for the Bears.
That's for sure.
Seriously, like when you came and you went in for the handshake, a couple of my guys were like, bro, I don't know if I can lift anything
My
after.
fingers still hurt.
Better to hold with.
You could still line up today for the Bears, but for Robocop living forever, believe it or not, it's been 36 years since the Bears called your name in the 4th round of the 1988 draft. Do draft nights like tonight take you back to the moment of your NFL dream coming true?
Well, I didn't know I was going to come here and make me feel old so quickly. Really nice of you. Thank you. Draft days are very special. I was just telling Jeff Bridges about it. Mine was very different than this. Obviously, these are so organized, big, all-day things, every round, every pick, and the way they go through the bios on these guys is unbelievable. But back in my day, it was only I believe, the 1st and 2nd round. That was it. So I got a call after it was off TV. So.
That's awesome. You know what? I'm glad you got the call, and honestly, mostly 99.9% of the world has never got that call. That is so awesome. Jim, Bears are set to make Caleb Williams the #1 overall pick and the face of their franchise. Straight up, Robocop, are the Bears making the right move in taking USC dynamic Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Caleb Williams?
Wow, what a question. All right. All I know, and I have no inside information, with the #1 pick, they will pick a quarterback. That's it. That's all I know. Now, Brandon and I were talking about this, and any of you that follow this, there's 30,000, whatever you want to look at it, mock drafts. People have their own opinions. We really don't know what's going to happen. All I know is there's 4 or 5 really, really good quarterbacks, and hopefully they will pick the one that actually is the best for their system and what their offense and what they want to be. And I'm not sure who it'll be, but it's going to be definitely a quarterback.
Which quarterback would you take?
Which quarterback would I take? See, if I wanted to run a certain off, actually today I played golf and one of the guys was saying, "Hey, did you hear we're trading up for Drake May?" That was a Trubinsky joke. So remember that? I don't know. I think all of them are good. By the way, Harbaugh has been all over his quarterback from Michigan. I know he's moved up quite a bit, but you think he's the best in the draft. I haven't, talking with Brandon about this, I haven't obviously not done enough film study to know exactly who I'd pick. They're all good. And I don't have a definitive answer on this, but I'm dancing around.
Fair enough.
Jim, you played for a plethora of quarterbacks in your tenure with the Bears. How essential do you think it is in this 2024 draft, with them holding the 1st overall pick in the draft, that they do get the quarterback of the future?
I would love to see a run here. I'd love to see this quarterback play for at least the next 10 years as starter. Obviously, if you do that, I think you are successful. You're doing things well, which means you're a playoff contender every year. Anytime you're in the playoffs, you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So I think this pick is hugely important. I love Mitchell Trubinsky, good guy, talked with him a lot. Thought he had a great work ethic, wanted to play. He just didn't fit that mold. I'm hoping tonight that this quarterback will fit what they want to do and they stick to the offense they want to do. And that's why I say they could pick one of many here that fits their offense. Obviously, Justin wasn't the answer. Justin didn't produce as a quarterback. Being a former one in college myself, you have about into your second and third year, you should really be hitting your stride. Everything should be slowing down for you. Defenses should fall in place for you on pre-reads. Everything should become easier for you. And it just didn't seem to do that consistently for Justin. So I think that move was a good move. Now let's start over. So get who you want to. That you have a choice. It's great this year. Many good quarterbacks. So get the one that fits the mold the best and commit to it and go with it.
Reset that clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Chicago Bears tight end Jim Robocop Thornton. Be a friend, tell a friend on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe, smash that notification bell, give us a 5-star review. You all know what to do.
Hey, Jim, thanks again for being here, man. Why, in your estimation, do you think the Bears have had so much trouble scouting and developing a franchise type quarterback? I know it's a loaded question, but I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are.
That's actually a hard one to pinpoint. I don't think there's any one answer. You look at Green Bay and the success they've had with
Had to say it, Jim. You
well,
had to say it.
they've had huge amount of success at quarterback, and you can't look down on them. They've done a great
Yeah,
job.
they're doing it right.
Even though they may draft a quarterback when Rodgers is obviously still in his prime, and everybody's like, maybe get a receiver or running back. They draft a quarterback that eventually steps in, and he's done pretty well so far. He may be the next long-term quarterback for the Packers.
Yeah.
I think in our situation that I think a lot of turnover, a lot of different philosophies. Maybe at some point they didn't commit enough time to that person. But everybody that steps into that into Hallis Hall after this draft and through free agency is going to have a chance to make a impact on this team. And I hope that whoever steps in as the next quarterback realizes this city is hungry. The fan base is rabid for a winning team.
Yeah.
So I hear it all the time. And obviously, this is a great city to live in and be a sports fan, but people really want the Bears to win.
As you look at the Bears roster entering tonight, what weapons do you think they still need to get Caleb Williams to give him the best chance being successful on a weekly basis, leading this team back to the postseason?
Well, you got to look at the moves that Ryan Poles has made during this offseason. Obviously, the offensive players he's brought in would give anybody that's going in and starting at quarterback being surrounded with such great weapons, you got to think they have great confidence. So I'm hoping that whether it's Caleb or any of the other quarterbacks that we choose tonight, they're going, wow. The GM and the Bears have really stepped up their offense and really brought in some and depending on tonight too, that number 9 pick is big. Who they pick there, especially if they pick another offensive player at 9, it's going to be a very high quality offensive player. You got to look at the weapons they're putting together and just say, I want to play there.
Jim, regarding the number 9 pick, you played the tight end position. Who is your favorite tight end in this year's draft? I know that there is one guy that seems to be pretty far above the rest, but do you think adding Brock Bowers with the 9th overall pick without trading back, taking Bowers at 9 to pair with Cole Kmet will be beneficial to Caleb Williams this coming season?
Now, that's one scenario. Talking that over, let's just say Odunze and Bowers fall to 9, and you have to make that decision. To me, that's a very hard one. We don't have the inside info. We haven't actually had conversations with either of those players to know, and I don't know exactly what offense they're going to and philosophies they're going to try and manifest this year. But I will say, to be in that position to pick one of those 2 players, I don't think you lose.
No.
With Bowers, obviously you get a stand-up tight end that can run great routes. he can block. He's okay. I think he's a pretty rounded tight end, but his route running and his catching ability is really good. He's obviously, I believe, a smart player. So he gives you that kind of that mismatch if you have him stand up at the end of the line of scrimmage or in the slot with the strong safeties that will have to cover him or the linebackers. Now, Odunze is he's a big receiver. So essentially you're getting a very similar player just at the wideout spot. So I don't think you lose if either of those players fall that far. I don't know if they will, but I would think that's a heck of a position to be in. And then again, as I was saying, this whole thing can unfold very differently. That position, number 9, they hold is coveted by a lot of teams, and we may see a trade at that point by a team that's real eager to get up and get somebody they want. It adds a little more draft capital to the second round, hopefully, and maybe next year as well. But we'll wait and see. Again, this first round is going to start, and I'm not going to say that Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick, because many drafts you get that guy that's supposedly going to be the very first pick, and the team steps up and a different name comes out. So we're going to wait and see. But there also could be a trade here at one. If the Bears somehow realize they actually like one of the other guys, and they think that the 2 or 3 team would trade up to get Caleb, they may do something like that. This is going to be a chess match, and this first round is going to be very interesting, especially these first 15 picks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by Bridges Scoreboard, your Northwest Indiana Chicago sports headquarters with a Hall of Fame menu and the coldest beer in Chicagoland. To prep for your next big-time night as a Chicago sports night, visit us at bridgesscoreboard.com or give us a call up here and make yourself a reservation like you did tonight for one of the very best, one of our favorite and beloved tight ends, Jim Robocop Thornton.
All right. So, Jim, you played with a lot of Hall of Famers in your career, from Singletary to Dent and all the way to our friend Steve McMichael. What does it mean to you to see him finally get into the Hall of Fame this summer after such a long wait? How much does that mean to you?
Obviously, it means a lot. I'm very happy for Steve and his family. At the end of the day, what people don't realize is the Bears, being one of the older teams in the NFL, we have quite a few players in the Hall of Fame. And in my opinion, there's quite a few players that played for the Bears that should be in the Hall of Fame. Steve is one of them that I would have included, 6 months ago. But there's quite a few guys that aren't going to be in the Hall of Fame, only because the Bears have so many players already. And the NFL in the Hall of Fame, they do a good job of trying to disperse and get people in from other teams and get all teams involved. And I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I think the Bears, just by their longevity here, there are a few players that aren't going to get in. But I'm very happy for Steve, and he deserves it. If you look at his stats and just how he played and who he was, in the film on him is incredible. And when I came in as a rookie, it was like walking into a superhero cast with all these guys. They were just unbelievable and very deep as far as talent, and cocky as hell. It was, to me, it was just sit down, yes sir, no sir, and try to fit in. And Steve McMichael was one of the last guys that really I was able to get close to. He doesn't let you in. He didn't let you in until you actually you made the team and you were really part of the team. And he was the hardest guy to get to know. But once you get to know him, he was just something to hang around with. I always enjoyed it. And I like palling around with the defensive guys. I pal around with everybody, but I like the defensive guys. We had McMichael and I and a couple of the other guys had arm day we do on Fridays, bicep days. Jess, we worked out all that stuff together. Coach Chakowski, all of us. But it was, I'm just very happy for him. He deserves it. Don't let anybody tell anybody that he doesn't deserve it. His record and his stats tell all.
Agree 100%. Well,
Yeah, it was awesome to give Dan Pompei, the guy that does all this write-up that you're looking at right here for you and everybody else. He works for Fox Sports, but he also helps me out in his spare time. he wrote a beautiful article about his, like, basically just pounding his proverbial fist on the table on why Mongo needs to have been and should be in the Hall of Fame. And I read that to Dan, and Steve was right there next to his wife, Misty, and I got a standing ovation. And I was like, listen, these are not my words, okay? I'm just a stooge reading them to you. But it was so cool. Like, one of the things that he said was, like, Richard Dent was on the end, and Dan Hampton was on the other end, taking care of the ends, and Mongo took care of everything in the middle. And it's just so cool to hear some of those stories and be a part of that, and have some of your teammates and friends with us and help raise money for him for ALS. And over here at Bridges Scoreboard, we raised nearly $20 million or $20,000 up here. I wish it was 20 million. That'd be awesome. So, but yeah, anyways, special shout out to Bridges Scoreboards for opening up their doors and making all that happen. We had the awesome Happy Gilmore check out there, and it was really cool just to help Steve out and just be a part of all that. And we know how much Steve means to everybody in Chicago. Like, he's just a really, like you said, he's a really well loved and respected guy. But I got a question for you. Can you give us, like, one of your favorite, like, Steve stories, or did he have a nickname for you or anything? Something that just, like, you really like, a story that you could tell us on air?
Robocop didn't come with me from California. That was given me the day I walked in and sat down in the first chair in House Hall that I saw open, because they would sit on the back wall, Hampton, all those guys, Becker and Mongo, and they would nickname everybody the rookies as they came in.
Yeah.
Mine was at least nice. I could tell my mom what my nickname was. Some of the guys weren't able to do that, unfortunately. But you know, I have my favorite Steve story, and I've heard a lot of them. And my favorite Steve stories that I don't know, that I was told, are from the Super Bowl era and just before, the things that he and Hampton and the guys used to do. And just I mean, again, they were bigger than life. They owned this city. They were unbelievable. But my favorite thing is getting to know Steve as a rookie, you know, and I was always into watching how the defense did, because that defense was undoubtedly the best defense in the NFL at that time. And I've talked to several quarterbacks, Danny White and some of the other quarterbacks from that era, and they absolutely hated playing the Bears. The linemen, the offensive linemen that were playing that week, hated playing against Mongo and Hamp and Dent and all these guys, and Perry. And as a rookie, I'd always watch that, because, I mean, they knocked people out. I mean, Singletary just took out Danny White one home game, hit him right in the chest, and the whole crowd went quiet. But things like that happen just about every game. They killed people.
That's awesome.
But I remember McMichael would go at it. He was he had a lot of antics. And I remember watching from the bench, and something happened, and Steve was into it with an offensive lineman. I forget what team it was, but I just remember looking at him, and he used to do this thing. He'd look at you, and, you know, and he'd do this, and then he'd pull his pants up, you know, pull his belt up and all that. And I just remember telling the tight ends that we were sitting with, I said, somebody's in trouble. He's going to kill him. That's what he used to do. He used to just adjust his belt and glare at you, and then he killed you.
Wow. That's an awesome story. Do you feel like he made you better? Like, those guys on the line made you better as a tight end, you know what I mean? As far as, like, blocking goes and everything else, you know, as a tight end?
Definitely during camp. I know first camp was hard, especially with Ditka, because he went, you know, full contact a lot. I mean, we had a lot of double days with full contact. There was one time he wanted to go to triple days when it was just, you know, it was an average 108 in out there in Iowa. But it was where were we? What city was that we were in? Platteville. Yes, Platteville, Wisconsin. Excuse me. Platteville, 108, and Ditka wants to go to 3 days. That was really bad. But going full contact against Mongo and these guys, I hit Hampton a lot. I hit Dent a lot. Otis Wilson a lot. And anytime you block those type of players, in even in practice, you're learning a lot. And that's all I tried to do. During the season, obviously, you're not doing any of that. You're working on technique. But these guys taught me a lot. And Otis Wilson, a great example is I always tried to make my stance extremely neutral, where I was in a three-point stance. You couldn't tell if I was blocking, if I was pulling, if I was going out for a pass. Otis was he would always let me know, if I was shading or showing something. So that really helped out there. Coming down, we used to do this pull play where I would pull from the tight end position and come down and trap block the nose guard. Well, William Perry was one of the biggest nose guards in the NFL at that time. That was never fun, coming down and hitting him. So,
did you ever put him down?
No.
No.
Matter of fact, I'd always, especially during the season when you're not full contact, but you're working on the plays. You'd be up on the line of scrimmage and 3-point stance. I'd be like, Bubba coming down. Okay, you just pull and you just kind of thump. But yeah, they taught me a lot. And like I said, we lifted a lot. I lifted with all those guys. So.
I was about to say something because I've heard a lot of stories. Oh, by the way, really quick, when I was asking you that question, and I've asked some other offensive linemen, Jimbo Covert, he was up here. Shout out to Bridges Scoreboard. Scott and Jeff brought him up here. It was really cool. Jimbo said, no, we made that defensive better.
Well,
So.
Jimbo Covert's one of the best tackles I played next to. His technique with his hands and feet and everything. He was one of the best. Bruce Matthews, who I played with in Houston last year. I was in Houston.
Wow.
Was also the same. They were cut from the same cloth. Extremely good feet, very good hands, great balance, and Jimbo was another guy to really work with. But I'm sure he would say the same thing. They each made each other better.
Over 100 people in the chat. Thank you, YouTube, for being out there and supporting us. Leroy Pinky said, he says, light them up, guys. AC says, bear down. Robocop in the building. Yo, Robocop, you're the man. Munoz says, you're a legend. I mean, they're just countless of people just in here giving us all kinds of love and shout outs to you, man. They're really happy that you're in here being a part of it, man.
Happy to be here. It's a long time ago, it seems like, that I played. It's always nice to be in a city that remembers you. That's why I stayed here. Being a California guy, I didn't go back. Love the Midwestern people. Playing in big cities on both coasts and then in the center of the country. The food here, especially in Chicago and Houston, I could say as well, is phenomenal. But just the cities, LA is horrible to play in. And New York was absolute. I would never go back. Never go back.
Go ahead, finish.
New York, you get run off the road by cab drivers. That in the 90s, that's how long ago. No Uber then, but how bad is that? And then in LA, they would literally leave the stadium in the third quarter to go tailgate.
Wow.
And they wouldn't show up until the middle of the first quarter or the beginning of the second quarter. They were so bad, it was unbelievable.
I think the Jets could use a tight end, man.
You
look like you're ready to go.
I think
For sure,
I think
facts.
they're definitely going to angle for Bowers. I think they really like Bowers.
Yeah, I do too.
Now you
Unless
gotta,
Robocop's available.
you got to remember these teams have their favorites, and I always tell people, they always act like I know. I said I don't know anything. I would like to get in and see the war room where they have everybody on the board and they have them where they like them and they have all the positions and they have
the chaos.
yeah. And then Tuesday, I know that they did 325 background checks, so that's 325 potential bears. They got to know that. I get that. So think about that. They got all that information on the board. I would like to see it because every team does have their favorites.
Well, yeah, and that's to get down to 4 players as of right now.
Yeah.
325 background checks.
What
They're
I
doing their
exactly?
due diligence.
Yeah, we don't have that many picks.
Yeah.
But back when I played, also there was 12 rounds, and before that, I believe there was 15 at one point. So now a lot of these guys, there's only 7 now. So a lot of these guys that would normally have been drafted, now they're free agents. And I don't exactly know how that works, but in a way, I think it might be beneficial to those guys. If you're right up the top, you're about being drafted and you're not, it might be beneficial to be able to pick a team you want to go to because there should be multiple offers for somebody that's really, valued.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how that works out, but it's all different. I think everybody likes to say that they were drafted. It's obviously, something really cool to say you've been drafted by any, professional team. But I mean, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. All you got to do is look the pretty.
You got to perform.
Yeah.
You perform.
Yeah. I would know. Short story. My daughter went to Iowa State, or is going to Iowa State. She's going to graduate hopefully here. But we watched Brock Purdy for a while. He had great leadership skills and great talent. I don't know why he slid down that far, other than the fact he's not the prototype height for a quarterback. Maybe. I don't think there's anything in his background. His family's great. He seemed to be great. But look at that guy. Last pick of the draft, and he kicked butt. Good for him.
Well, look at up until 7:00 tonight, the Bears' #1 quarterback on their roster is an undrafted Division II free agent. So,
I did like him last year, though. In
Nice,
preseason, he did good.
yeah. There's a lot of talent left on the board after.
Speaking of which, in the draft, we got about 27 minutes remaining, but really quickly, did you get a chance to grab a little bite to eat at Bridges Scoreboard up here? Did you have anything yet?
I've had a half an onion ring.
How was that onion ring?
The half onion ring was really good. The wings were really good. I had a couple of those.
Well, let's hope you get a little bit more food in your belly before you sign all of these autographs for the sea full of fans out here. We got a lot of jerseys here at Bridges Scoreboard, mini helmets, a bunch of flats, all kinds of goodies. So everybody get down here at Bridges Scoreboard, Griffith, Indiana, while Robocop's still up here. We're getting ready to check out the draft at 7:00. Be a friend, tell a friend, have everybody come up here. It's a great place to hang out. But get here quickly because pretty soon it's going to be standing room only, folks. So thanks again, everybody in YouTube land for hanging out with us. And
Thanks, guys.
until then, keep fighting like Mongo McMichael with everything you got.